Hi guys, it's Angie, and so I'm coming today to do like a quick little run through of some experimentation that I've been doing. So this is kind of like some little bit of a tutorial, I guess, on experimentation and what I came up with. I know everybody's just like totally loving the encaustic and what it can do, or the wax or whatnot. I think I mentioned, or I'm not sure if I did, but I think I'm gonna do like a tiny playlist of short little videos, and not a ton, just things here and there of what I'm doing, or you guys keep me, giving me ideas, or how to work through something. And I'm so used to, if I don't have something or I want to replicate something, I'm kind of one of those people that is, I work through it. Like I try to look about, around in my studio, what I have, what could I use to try to replicate something, or how can I how can I make it out of a certain different medium to replicate something that I'm doing if I don't have it on hand. So, it's always good to think that way also, and just instead of going out and buying everything you need, because I'm kind of like, if I have an idea or I'm thinking of something, I'm like, I want to do it right now. So, nothing wrong with going out and buying things. I totally love to buy crafts and new art supplies and whatnot, but just something, for me, I like a challenge. So, like I always say, if you're comfortable, you're not challenging yourself, right? Okay, so anyways, so under this encaustic kind of thing, I was thinking, well, maybe I'll do some of those little bee palettes that I have the Ranger one I was talking about, little melting pot, and maybe we could go over a little, you can watch me do maybe some collages, or experimenting with it too as well. So on this one, I was thinking of, I came across an old video, very, very old. It's with Golden, the company Golden, and I came across their video on doing like a faux encaustic. So I thought I would try it, and I didn't. I had everything except for interference gold. I didn't have interference gold, and it's kind of like a translucent gold, so it's not opaque, it's transparent. So I didn't have that. The only thing I had was the Titan Buff acrylic paint. So I went and used that. So it's kind of a semi-transparency. See how you can see that's kind of that's what it looks like, an acrylic. So what I did is I was working with Tracy's little tea cards again, because everybody really liked that. I was just experimenting. So I did samples. So I think it's really cool to do samples, because then if you like something, you have samples of what you did, and then you can go back to that. And so I just wrote everything that I used on the back, and so I think that's a really good idea. So I first started off with, and I'm going to go ahead and do a little tutorial on how I did it. But so I was just mixing stuff, and I ended up using the soft gel, some molding paste that I had, some acrylic glaze, excuse me, and some Titan Buff. So I mixed all these together, and I came up with this. So it was a little too thick, because the difference between soft gel and modeling paste is obviously the transparency, right? And the thickness. And everything that you need to know about what you're buying helps you right here. There's like a little guide. So it tells you it's matte, how matte it is, if it's, it'll give you a range. So these are really helpful in the back of Golden's products. So I like the texture that it gave. That's why I put a little bit of molding paste in it, because I'll maybe try it without the Titan Buff. Another one you can use, Indian ink, as a yellow. That might work a little bit better, but like, again, see, it just turned, it's not encaustic, right? But the texture turned out really cool, and this stuff's pretty flexible too. So and then I noticed it bled. So this one bled. So this is the same combination, and this one bled. So that one didn't work out very well. And then I just tried on some paper, which it's kind of cool. It kind of turned out, cool texture. And like I said, it's flexible. So that kind of was a flop. So then I did another mixture, and I just used the soft gel. So you want to use the soft gel. So that's kind of a grayish tone, and it's going to dry more like this, like see-through. Where I X'd this out. I didn't use any more modeling paste, but you see how thick that is? So we took that away, and I just stayed with the soft gel. I used just a tiny bit of acrylic glazing liquid and gloss, and then just a dab, like little tiny pin drop of Titan Buff. So on that note, this is what it turned out to be like. So you see, I did the whole thing with that technique, with that mixture, and it did give it a haze. You see the haze a little bit? And then after this was dry, I went back with some of this and then put it over there to give it that shine that people like that you get from encaustic. So I know it's really totally hard to see because I can't even see the glare. Oh, there we go. There. Perfect. So this side just has the medium on it, and then this side has the medium with the gloss on it. So it kind of enhances the color. Gloss will enhance the contrast in a picture. So if you can kind of see it. So this kind of gave it the texture and the look of encaustic, but you know, it's faux, so it's not going to be perfect, right? And you want to put it on kind of thick and smooth it out and kind of replicate wax. So now you can put this gloss over it, and so it kind of give you that shine, or you can keep it like matte, like how it is on this side. So because here's what in the caustic one was. This is with real encaustic wax on it. So there you go on that one. Now, during my experiment, I kind of looked over and I saw, you know, on my shelf over here, I have a big shelf with a lot of my mixed media stuff. I was looking over and I saw my UD, my extra thick embossing powder. And I'm like, well, I wonder if that'll work. So I did the same thing with the same medium. And then, so you can see it's matte right here. And so I used the same formula I did with the previous T-card. And then I used UTTE, and it's the ultra thick embossing enamel, I guess. And so it's shiny. So this looked to me, I mean, it's like a little overshine. I mean, you can get encaustic that shiny, but obviously it's gloss. But I like the texture. It was kind of bumpy and rigid, like kind of when wax is and you don't smooth it out with an iron, it kind of will give you that little divots a little bit in the wax. Is when you're putting on the brush. As you're putting on the brush, it's cooling as you're putting it on, so it will add texture. So again, this was cool, and it, like I said, it, you know, it adds that texture first, and then you can put the enamel on top of it, and it'll just give you, like I said, the gloss will enhance the contrast in your picture. So I thought this was cool because I really like the texture of it. So then we'll go do that really quick, and I'll show you how I do it. But to stop the bleeding, I took decoupage. Excuse me, guys. I'm gonna sneeze and I'm trying to hold it back. So I just took a paintbrush really quick, and so I had to seal it first because the moisture was too much to sit. I believe it was too much for it just to sit on top there and dry, and it bled. So I went ahead and I just hurried up and put some decoupage on here, sealed it really as good as I could. So I'm just trying to give you different ways to use stuff that you might have. I know a lot of you said that you were a little nervous about getting into encaustics, which I totally understand, and so I thought this would be fun for you guys to experiment with before you jump into it, which I hope you guys all do. Like I said, I think I'll do some of the Ranger beeswax so you can get a feel for that. I also have just plain beeswax that's unfiltered that that I might experiment with. That might give a little bit more vintage look. It's not encaustic, but it's a form of wax, and it's pretty fun to use as well. So I'm just gonna dry this really quick. Okay, so that sealed it in to my preference. And then all I did is I just took palette knife really quick. And like I said, I'm just using a dab because I'm one of those people that likes to not waste my product, right? But you want enough on there to where you're going to build up a thickness. Excuse me, guys, again. And then just a little bit of glaze, not too much. And then when I say a dot, like I'm not even joking, like less than that. So anyways, I'll go ahead and mix this up. And let's see. Mix this up well. And like I said, I'll go find that link again if I think I can find it pretty easy to find it. And like I said, it's by Golden, and it's just a faux encaustic tip that they gave with their products. And I'm like, hey, I have all that stuff. Let's do it. So again, just like a minuscule, and this is probably too much. Yeah, see how much that is? That was too much. Because you want to keep it transparent. I mean, this might work, but it might make it a little bit more murky. But even that little dot was a little bit much. Okay. Now once you have it mixed up, all I did is I just put it on like this with a palette knife. I used a palette knife. And then what I do to add texture, I learned this, who did I learn this from? I think it was a wall. They did the plaster work for the walls. And they told me if you take your trowel and you do this with it, and then you run your trowel over it, it'll help create those really cool textures in your wall. Isn't that cool? So anyways, sorry if you can hear my dog. So anyways, so there's that. And so I just set that aside to let it dry. And as that's drying, I'm going to talk about something else that I came up with that while I was experimenting, I'm thinking, hold on one sec, you guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so as this is drying, and I was working with the embossing enamel, I was thinking, well, what else can I do with that? And so I just started looking around and picking other material or other things up to use, and because I was thinking, like, how can we achieve that look? And I'm sure people have done this before because I've also done resin. So this is kind of what resin does with paper, but this is a kind of a cool way to use this, embossing enamel. So this is just a piece of book paper that I put Versamark on, and then put it in my this powder right here. This is the ultra thick one, the clear. So I just did that and dipped it on one side, heated it up, and then put the Versamark on the other side, and then dipped it back in here, and then heated up the other side. So this is purely encased in UTTE. And as you can notice, it's stiff, and it will probably crack. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it yet. Let's see. Yeah, it cracks. But you could do a few things with this other than, it does make it transparent, so it's kind of cool. I like it. It was fun to experiment with. I mean, maybe we could crunch it up. I don't know. Do something, break pieces off of it. I mean, it kind of is cool, So, and then I was thinking, okay, I had some, this like sandwich wrap paper. And so I love the look at I love how the thickness gives, with embossing enamel, it just gives that texture, and that's kind of what encaustic looks like, if you're not smoothing it out and you're kind of just putting it on. So, and just has that high gloss, of course. And so then I took it a step further, and I just started grabbing some material. So this was my first one, so I just I'll do one with you, but I just sat it on here, and this is now going to be designated to just this stuff because obviously I got some stuff on there, and I'll show you what's on there. But anyways, it turned out really cool. And you know, it doesn't snap or anything or crack, but I think it's just really cool. It kind of stiffened it up, and it kind of melted through and just made this really cool texture. I think these would be cool in collages. And you know, you could ink the edges with them, you know, distress inks, you know. I can try that right now while I'm thinking about it. You could do all kinds of things with these. I'll show you what else I did with them, but this was just where I started, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is cool. So, let's see, add a vintage photo. I'm going backwards on how I distress, but that's okay. We're just experimenting, right? So, I mean, we're just experimenting. Anyways, so that's how that turned out. Pretty cool. And then that led to this, which was just a piece of muslin, which led into what are these? Those perfect pearls. And so I'll show you how I did that. So that landed with perfect pearls in it, which landed to creating this, which is super cool. So this is using the extra thick embossing powder with perfect pearls and a couple other things. Isn't that cool? So there's copper, gold, and I believe that's bronze. So isn't that neat? I just love how it like totally transformed a piece of fabric. And then that turned into this, which this to me looks waxed. I sent this picture to a friend, Abby, and she's like, is that waxed? And so no, it's not waxed, but you could start this with a piece of mixed media. I mean, this is just my sample. You could sew all over this first. I would not do this and then sew, because this will, you know, it'll ruin your sewing machine, I would guess. I wouldn't do it. But instead of, you know, putting perfect pearls over it and, you know, with your applicator, I did it a different way. But I thought it just turned out super cool. I love the texture. I mean, it's stiff. You could, you know, you could do all kinds of things. I could make an encaustic piece and then put this on top of it and work around it. You know, this could be, you know, really cool. And then that turned into this. So, and what I did with this one, I grunged it up with alcohol or distress inks first, and then I did the technique that I ended up coming up with as experimenting, I guess experimenting. But like I said, you could sew all over here first, and then tattoo your edges, and then add the elements the mediums that I used to create this. So I'm going to show you how I did that really quick. So we'll just get to it, right? I like to explain kind of what I'm doing first and then go ahead and get into it. So this is a little murky. So like I said, you have to be careful with how much Titan buff you use, which I didn't have interference gold, is which Golden recommended to use. So this is just experiment. It might still be a little bit still drying. You know, it was a pretty thick coat. But let's see how it turns out. I'm going to go ahead and use just, instead of using the golden glaze, I'm going to go ahead and use the enamel. So all I did was I just took this on here, and so you can kind of see why I'm not going to be using this Versamark pad for anything else, right? So I just got it on there as best as I could, you know, made sure that, you know, it's all on the piece. And then I take this and I kind of just shake it around. And I'm going to be, you know, experimenting. There's a, you know, Seth Apner is a person that I like to follow. He does really cool mixed media stuff and has really cool stuff to use, products. And he actually has an encaustic beeswax replica faux. And I think it's like an embossing powder, which is cool. And I'm gonna grab that, I think, and maybe work with that and bring that to you guys, and then you guys can decide if that's something you like. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this on really quick. No, not this one. Oh wait, yes, that's the one. Okay, usually I use my tweezers, but didn't grab those ones quick enough. Okay, so like I said, it was a little bit murkier than I wanted it. But again, that gave it that shine and that unevenness that you get if you use encaustics. Like I said, if you're not smoothing and scraping it back down, you kind of get an unevenness. Like I said, that's caused by your brush going into the wax and then applying it, and as it's cooling, it will stick or ripple a little bit. And so that's kind of what this does. And so this one turned out really well. Like I said, I'll obviously have to get some of that interference gold and see how that works. Or maybe when you do it on a full colored piece like this, maybe not even add that hue of yellow in it. That's just what the color of encaustic is. It's that very faint, very like this right here, very faint yellow color. So it's you know, you just use the teeniest bit. But I guess if you're kind of using it, you know, on a solid piece like this one turned out great, and I used a little bit less yellow. So and this one turned out really well too, so you can see the picture in there perfect. And like I said, I thought this was going to be too much yellow in this one, and maybe, you know, maybe a little bit too thick, too heavy on the medium, and like, but you also want that encaustic look. So it's experiment, but this is just something for you guys to do and work with, and I thought it'd be a lot of fun to show you what I've been doing, and, you know, really taking your guys's encouragement to keep going on with it. And, you know, I don't do a lot of tutorials, so I guess I'm on a kick. So anyways, this is a piece of muslin. Like I said, this is just a coffee dyed piece of muslin that I had. And all I did was I took, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. I took this, and then I just laid it in here, and I didn't try to saturate it. I just tried to make sure that, you know, there was Versamark on here as much as I could get on there, but not like, you know, saturate it. Just give it an even coat. So then I just took that and did the same thing. Just laid it in there and kind of shook it around. Now this is kind of messy how I'm going to do this. This is the technique we're going for right now. And so you kind of try to tap off your excess. Like I said, this is you're gonna have some stuff all over the place. Oh well, it's art, right? That's what we do. So then I took, let's see, I'm just going to use these. I even added actual rust powder in here, which I just grabbed some rust out of a bucket that I have, some stuff that's full of rust. Talk about rust, right? And we'll just add some stuff in there. Let's see. I just took some, be careful you don't breathe the dust though, because it's, you know, it's rust dust. Rust dust. So I kind of just dropped some rust in there. I mean, it's gonna melt, right? That's what I said to myself. It's like, let's grab some more rust over here. They sell rust in a jar, and I have some that I actually bought a jar of rust dust. And yeah, I can't find it. I've been looking for it, and I also lost washi tape. I never had washi tape, and then I buy it, and then you lose it, right? Okay, so that's just adding stuff in here. So then I took some Tim Holtz Vintage Photo embossing powder, and I just took little scoops like this, and I just I don't know, tap the end of this little stick. These are like little tiny sticks that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I love to use these because I do so much with these. I mean, I use them to apply things with. I use them for my little houses. I just do a lot of stuff. Anyway, so I just spread that on there. And this is not, you know, anything rocket science or anything, you know, people might have experimented this way already. It's just when you start shopping your own studio, you're trying to create something with, you know, you don't have the things. That's the artist I've always been. I try to figure out how to do things with the things I have sometimes, because I'm sometimes impatient and, you know, or I don't want to spend all the money. But I do have fun shopping for sure. I mean, when it comes to buying new products, because I love using stuff. So that was, I believe it's copper. These don't, oh, this was super bronze. And this one is sunset gold. I was thinking this was more of a bronze, but it's called sunset gold. Kind of looks kind of dreary for a sunset in a jar, right? So I just sprinkle these on. Like I said, I'm just kind of doing the opposite. I'm putting these on before, and I didn't know if it was going to work or not. I mean, I had no idea. So I just tried it. And so, and then I took some scoops of brilliant gold. And on this one I added some green. It was Duo Green Yellow was on this one. But I'm not going to add the green this time. So like I said, I just scoop out a little bit. This stuff goes a long ways, obviously. That's why they give you little tiny jars. This is one thing where you can give me a tiny jar and I'll believe you that it goes a long ways. Some stuff I'm like, oh my gosh, that's it? So, you know, you just spread it around, trying to make it, you know, even. And you can build this up. The first one I did, I did this process. I heated it up, and then I dipped it, or I added another layer of enamel. Okay. So then this is going to blow, you know, when I put the heat onto it, obviously it's going to disperse a little bit, which is kind of cool. It kind of blows it and mixes it up a little bit, which is kind of cool, but just be aware of that's going to happen. And so this might get loud for a second, so you can watch this as it goes. Here we go. I kind of start over here just a little bit in the corner because I know it's going to start blowing that around, see? Which that's okay, and then I kind of take it this way. I'm still experimenting with it, you know. So there's that, and I probably go again. So that's how that turned out. So it's really cool. Isn't that neat? And then it's, you know, see, I kind of blow, and it just goes everywhere. So, like I said, you can, and it's like locked in. So you could take your Versamark again, and you could restamp it with the Versamark. Like I said, see, this is dedicated to this stuff now. And you can get your powder. I think this stuff looks really cool on the printed fabric, though, as well. And then shake off the excess. And then go with it again, you know? Just pile it on. Well, don't pile it on, but just keep experimenting. It's kind of building up layers and textures. You know, I've never dripped the distress inks, which, I don't know, that might be kind of cool. Let's use this one. You might get away with that, I don't know. If it doesn't work out, then you just trash the idea, move on. So, anyways, I just thought this was fun. I just thought, well, you know what, it's I'm having fun at it, and it's experimenting, and people like to see experiments. And then if you guys want to try it, I think it'd be fun to see what you guys do with it. You know, you can use this in journals, mixed media, your encaustic, all kinds of stuff. So, let's see. And I have all kinds of colors, but you know, I tend to land towards the earth tones, of course, because that's where I go most of the time. So, and then you just do the same thing. Repeat it. And I try not to get too close because I don't want to blow it, you know, I want it to kind of mix into each other. I don't want it to totally blow off with a piece of fabric. So don't, like, you know, get too close. Kind of start far away, but as long as it's, you know, melting. And there we go. That's really cool. And it almost looks like I did dip it in wax. But there you go, guys. I mean, it's just something different to think about. Getting different achievements. Like I said, this was trying to figure out how to do more encaustic, faux encaustic stuff. But you know, these turned out pretty, you know, pretty decent to the real thing. So here's the encaustic piece up here, and here's the two faux ones. Not too bad, you know. And then, like I said, I added these on the back of these little pieces of wood that I cut out. It's basswood, and I distressed it and then added the faux card on top like this. So yeah, many possibilities. So yeah, let me know what you think. If you let me try that, if you try this, let me know. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. Sorry, I try to keep my tutorials under at least 30 minutes. But I love to explain first and then go into the process and talk about it as we're going through the process. But anyways, I hope everybody has a lovely weekend, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.